Okay, today we're going to talk about 2.2 and 2.3 linear equations in one variable. You hate linear equations? Just wait, there are harder equations. And we will start with a definition. A linear equation is an equation of a straight line. Which is written in one variable. The only power of the variable is 1. Linear equations in one variable may take the form ax plus b equals 0. And there are some classifications for linear equations, which will also be a definition. That is that a linear equation can be one of 3 types. They can be an identity, they can be conditional, or inconsistent. An identity equation is true for all values of the variable. A conditional equation is only true for some values of the variable. And finally, an inconsistent equation results in a false statement. And our last definition that we need to get started is the solution set. The solution set is the set of all values that make an equation true. Are we ready for an example? Okay, let's do an example then. Example 1. We want to solve the linear equation and our linear equation is 2x plus 1 equals negative 9. Now, there's a pathway for us to be able to solve linear equations. What we want to do is we want to add, subtract, multiply, or divide the equation by some number to get the x, the stuff containing x, by itself. Okay? And if we need to, we can use the distributive property, but ultimately we want to get x by itself. So if you read the left-hand side of this equation, you have 2x plus 1. How do we get the 2x by itself? Well, we need to get rid of the plus 1. To get rid of that plus 1, we can subtract 1 from both sides of the equation. What you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other. 2x plus 1 minus 1 is just 2x. And negative 9 plus a negative 1 is negative 10. And once we're at this point, when the variable is multiplied by a coefficient in the last stage, we can multiply both sides of the equation by its reciprocal or divide by the coefficient. In other words, we want to divide both sides by 2. The 2's will cancel on our left-hand side, and we're left with x is equal to negative 10 divided by 2, which is negative 5. So what type of equation do we have here? Is this an identity, conditional, or inconsistent?
Conditional.
Why do you say conditional?
Because x can only be negative 5.
The only solution that works is x equals negative 5. And so this is conditional. And our solution set, which we would write in bracket, curly braces like this, we plug in a negative 5. Any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just backtracking a little bit. You said on the solution state set that it makes it true. The set that makes it true. So would that mean that inconsistent equation doesn't have a solution set?
It has a solution set, but it doesn't have any solutions in it. So it's an empty set. So basically, if we plug in negative 5 in for x in this equation, you'll have something on the left-hand side and something on the right-hand side that are the same. So it will be true. In other words, negative 9 will equal negative 9. Good question. Any others?
on with the hate on coleslaw?
No, we cannot. But we can move on to example 2. We want to solve the linear equation. And our equation is negative 2 times the quantity 3x minus 1 plus x is equal to 14 minus x. So our goal is to get x by itself. In order to do that in this equation, what do we need to do first?
Distribute.
We need to distribute. So negative 2 times 3x, negative 6x, and negative 2 times negative 1, positive 2, and then we'll have the plus x equal to 14 minus x.
Sounds like you could just, combine the.
Combine like terms.
Yes.
So negative 6x plus x is negative 5x plus 2 is equal to 14 minus x.
Just add x to one side.
We need to add x to both sides. Negative 5x plus x.
Pretty simple, man. Negative 4x.
Negative 4x plus 2 is equal to what? 14. Then to get the x by itself, or at least the stuff containing x by itself, we need to subtract 2 from both sides. And when we subtract 2 from both sides, we're left with negative 4x on the left-hand side, and 14 plus a negative 2, or 14 minus 2, is 12. And in our last step, we can divide by that leading, or by the coefficient. Coefficient's negative 4, we'll divide both sides by that. Negative 4s will cancel, and we're left with x is equal to negative 3. So, identity, conditional, or inconsistent?
Conditional.
It's conditional. If there's one solution, it's conditional. Okay, and our solution set, again, would be the set containing negative 3. Any questions on how we've solved these equations? Solving linear equations is among the easier things that we'll do in the class, so I just want to make sure that we're all clear on it. Come on, Dee, tell me your question. Why are you covering your face then? It's one of the easier things.
If I stick a ground beef in a blender, does that make the beef even more ground? Or does it just make it blender dry?
Yes. All right, linear equations. I meant to change colors there. Linear equations. And slope. A lot of times, the most convenient way for us to look at a linear equation is a format that looks like this. Y equals m times x plus b, where m is slope and b is our y-intercept. Definition time. Let's formally define slope. The slope of a line, which we denote as m, thank you, represents the change in, the change in y over the change in x. So, if we have 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2, the following formula determines the slope of the line containing the 2 points. Does anyone know what that formula for slope is?
X1, x2 minus x1.
No, y2 minus y1.
Yeah, it's y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So it's the change in y divided by the change in x, which is our rise over run.
I would remember the words, but not the letters. You need to remember things.
Give me just a minute to get the rest of that definition. Okay, example 3. We want to find the slope of the line that passes through the points -2, 6 and 1, 4. So again, what's our formula for slope? X2 minus x1. Now this will be on your formula sheet for when you take a test, just so you know. Does it matter which point we choose to be x1, y1, and which point we choose to be x2, y2? No, it doesn't matter. So x1, y1, just be consistent. That's right. x2, y2. So I want to do my y2, which is 4, minus my y1, which is 6, divided by my x2, which is 1, minus my x1, which is -2. What's 4 minus 6? -2. And 1 minus a -2 is 3. So my slope, m, is equal to -2/3, which means for every 2 units that I go down, my rise, I need to go over 3 units in the x direction. So I need to run 3.
I wrote it the other way because I was trying to write it for you, and I got 2 over -3. Does that make a difference?
It does not make a difference. It would still be going up 2 and to the left 3. those still end up being negative 2/3. Other questions? No one at all. Okay, let's do another example. This one involves the slope-intercept form. And this is another one of those where you hope that I choose this question to be every question on your test. We want to identify the slope and y-intercept in the equation y equals 3x plus 2. So remember that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Leave an arrow there. That's slope-intercept form. So a lot of you will put slope as being something times x. The slope is just a number. It's the number in front of x. So what is our number in front of x here? So our slope is 3. If we wanted to write that as rise over run, how would we write it? 3 over 1. And what is our b in this case? It's 2. Why is it 2? How is it 2? It is the y-intercept, and it's in that position in this format, so that has to be our y-intercept. So our y-intercept is 2. Typically with intercepts, we will write them as points. That means that when you plug in 0 for x, your y-intercept is 2. And we'll talk more about that as we move along. So you've seen the slope-intercept form. We now need to talk about a different form of the equation of a line. But before we do, I want to pause and see if we have any questions or if we're going too fast, too slow. Feedback. Not the staticky kind. Yeah, I abbreviated intercept because I didn't want to write the whole thing. Any questions? Okay. Let's talk about the point slope formula. Or formular, if you prefer. So given one point and the slope, the point slope formula will lead to the equation of a line. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1.
This already looks pretty easy to convert.
Famous last words.
Wait a second. No, wait a second. That's not what it looks like.
So if you look very closely at this equation, this formula, it looks very similar to the formula for slope, right?
Yeah, no.
If we were to divide both sides of this equation by x minus x1, it would be exactly the formula for slope, right? Okay, just wanted to clear that up. Example 5. If we're given that m is equal to 4, we want to find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. What's slope-intercept form again?
Y minus 1, y1.
Try again.
Oh, wait.
Y equals mx plus b.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Passing through the point 2,5. Again, this is a place where you want to be careful and read the question. I just finished telling you about this new format that we're going to use to find the equation of a line, and immediately the question says that it wants the answer in slope-intercept form. This is one of those tricky things that Edfinity will do to you, and you'll be like, why is my answer wrong? Maybe you didn't put it in the right format. Okay, so be very careful. Same thing on your exams. Now, will you get all of the credit taken off on the exam if you don't put it in slope-intercept? No, but you will not get full credit. Okay? So, what do we need here? What two pieces of information are key for us to be able to find the equation of this line?
We need what are we searching for?
We need a point and the slope. And I circled those in the wrong order. We need a point and the slope. It's not funny. Okay, it's a little funny.
Oh, no, man.
But you need those two things. You need the point and the slope. Do we have everything we need to find the equation? Yes. Yes, we do. Now, if we were given two different points, would we also be able to find the equation? Why, Erica? If we had 2 points, what could we also find? We could use the slope formula to find the slope, and then we could use either point to use the point-slope formula. Very good. So, knowing that we need this point and this slope, let's plug in. So we'll get y minus 5 equals, what's our slope? 4 times the quantity x minus 2.
Hold on. Can we look at these numbers again?
I'm going to scroll just a little bit up so you can see at the very top our point-slope formula and then what we plugged into that point-slope formula.
I was looking at what I got at the end. Sorry. I was working ahead.
Okay, now that we're at this point, what do we need to do? We need to distribute, so we'll get 4 times x, 4x, and 4 times negative 2, negative 8. And then to solve for y, to get y by itself. Why do we want to get y by itself?
So we get the slope-intercept form.
We want it in slope-intercept form, so we'll do what to both sides? Add 5 to both sides. And we get y equals 4x minus 3. Negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3. And this would be our final answer. Any questions about where we are so far? How we found the slope-intercept form? Okay. Hearing no complaints.
Standard form.
Okay, let's do another example. Example 6. I sort of gave you a preview of what we were going to do here. We want to find the equation of the line. Notice in this that there are no instructions of what format to put it in. Passing through the point 1, 2 and the point 2, 4. What two things do we need to use the point slope formula?
Slope and y-intercept.
Point slope formula.
The x1, x2, and the slope.
A point and the slope. For the point slope formula, you need a point and the slope. It's in the name. You need a point and the slope. Do we have a point and the slope in this question?
We do have the slope. We just have to work for it.
We're just going to have to find the slope, as Joe said. We're going to have to use the slope formula and find the slope first. So I'll say that. Find the slope first. And what's our slope formula? Erica remembers that slope formula.
I don't know why I remember that. Well, I remember that one and the y equals mx plus b.
It just means that you have been taught something. In my class is what I'm saying. I'm not that you haven't been taught anything.
I remember that one since like freshman year.
Okay, so maybe I didn't teach it anything.
No, I had a really good
got kicked out
algebra
freshman
teacher
year.
in high school.
Can't
That's
relate.
why.
Here I was thinking that I had done something. All right, we'll use the second point as x2, y2. So we'll do 4 minus 2 over 2 minus 1. What's 4 minus 2? And 2 minus 1? So our slope is equal to 2. So now we can plug into our point slope formula, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So let's plug it in. What do we get?
Y minus 2 equals 2
2 times x minus 1. So what do we need to do next to get it in y-intercept form, slope-intercept form? We need to distribute, and what do we get, D? 2 times x, which is 2x, bless you, and minus 2. So we have y minus 2 equals 2x minus 2. To solve for y, what do we do to both sides? Add 2 to both sides. And we get y equals 2x. So tell me what that means about our y-intercept.
There is none. It's 0. 0 on the graph.
There is a y-intercept, and it is 0. So that means this line goes through the point 0, 0, right?
He's a square. He's a
Okay.
average guy.
Any questions? Okay, we have one more format to look at when it comes to the equation of a line. So we'll do a definition of that. That is the standard form. The standard form of the equation of a line is written as ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are integers. And that condition controls a lot. What does it mean that a, b, and c cannot be?
Variable.
They can be negative because integers have negatives. What can they not be?
Variables, you know what I'm saying? Can't be variables.
They sure can't be variables, but what type of numbers can they not be?
What's the exponents?
You could have an integer that was an exponent. Say it. So they couldn't be decimal numbers, right? So if it was 0.5, that won't work. That's not an integer. Can't be a fraction unless it's a whole number fraction. So we'll see how to deal with that in example 7. Any questions so far? So for standard form, all of the x stuff and the y stuff are on one side, and we have a constant on the other. Okay, example 7. We want to find the equation of the line in standard form with slope m equals negative 1/3 and passing through the point 1, 1/3. Just what you wanted to deal with, right? Fractions.
Here we I'd rather write this instead. Step 1.
So what do we do first? How would we do that? I mean, yes, it is possible for us to get rid of the fraction, but not yet. We're not there yet. We need to use the point-slope formula, right? We have a point and the slope. So our point-slope formula, which I'm just going to keep writing for you until you remember it.
Why couldn't we use slope-intercept form?
Because you don't have the intercept.
You can't like sub in the 1/3 for the intercept. Oh wait, yeah, you can't. I'm tripping.
Because x would have to be 0.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do y minus what value? 1/3 is equal to negative 1/3 times x minus 1. So now we need to distribute, and we get negative 1/3 times x, or negative 1/3 x, and negative 1/3 times 1 is minus 1/3. Now how do we get y by itself? We can add 1/3 to both sides. So what do we have on the left-hand side? Y equals negative 1/3 x. Are we done?
Yeah.
No, we're not done, because we're supposed to put this in standard form, right?
Yeah.
Did I make a mistake anywhere? Y'all just gonna let me make a mistake?
Yeah.
You're teaching us.
Negative 1/3 times negative 1. That's not negative 1/3, is it? It's positive 1/3.
Okay.
So we should have a plus 2/3 here.
We need to stop jumping off the cliffs with other sheets.
That's what I'm saying. Pay attention. Make sure we're doing this right. Bless you. What do you mean you don't know how to do it? So everyone makes mistakes, right?
Yep.
Even your math teacher. Now that we have it correct, what is our job? We want to put it into standard form. That means we need to get the x stuff and the y stuff on one side, right? So we can add 1/3 x to both sides. And so we get 1/3 x plus y equals 2/3. Are we finished?
Hold on to your Jimmy Johns a minute. No, we certainly we ain't. You know what I'm saying?
Why are we not done here?
It can't be a fraction.
No. Joe said it. Because what can't be a fraction?
Integers.
The coefficients in front of x and y and the constant on the right-hand side can't be fractions. They have to be integers. How can we deal with that? Say it louder. Say it louder for everyone to hear.
Well, can we put a 0? Because 0 is an integer, right?
0 is an integer.
But can we take that 2/3, add that to x? Wait, no.
No, those are different animals.
Yeah. Same beast, but different animals.
If only you could multiply both sides of an equation by a number to get rid of those fractions.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So,
What is being divided? We're dividing those by 3. So what if we just, I don't know, multiplied both sides of our equation by 3?
oh, yeah.
So when we distribute that 3, we get 3 times 1/3, which is 3 times 1/3 is 1. So we get just x. And 3 times y, 3y. And 2/3 times 3, 2. Now my question to you, is that in the form ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are integers?
Yes.
Yes. 1 is an integer, 3 is an integer, and 2 is an integer. So, at what point would you have preferred, guys, listen. At what point would you have preferred that we multiply by 3? Could we have done it right here? We could have done it right there. We also could have done it in this step, where it was all on that side. Eventually, you're going to have to multiply by 3.
So does it depend on the problem when you multiply?
It would, because the only difference in this problem and others is that we wanted it in standard form. If we had wanted it in slope-intercept form, we would not have multiplied by 3. We would have left it alone because it would be y equals something. So in this case, Joe was saying, what is the y-intercept earlier? It's 2/3. Does that make a little more sense? Okay. Any other questions? Because we're about to move on to my favorite topic of linear equations.
Oh, I was about to say, quadratics or something. Hold your horses there, buddy.
We're going to do quadratics, but not yet. Not
yeah.
yet.
I have to prepare to fight that war. You know what I'm saying?
I actually do have a question.
Yes.
So you multiply by 3 because that's the denominator of both.
Right, and that's what will get rid of that denominator.
Do they have to both have the same denominator on both sides of it?
So in most cases, you probably won't get the same denominator on both sides. So you may have to multiply by a least common multiple. Like if it was 4 and 3, you would multiply by 12. And that would clear both. It's a good question. Any others? Go ahead.
Hey.
Okay, vertical and horizontal lines. We're not quite to my favorite part, but we're getting there.
Then a horizontal 0 and a vertical is undefined.
Slope, yes.
Oh.
So, the equation of a vertical line is given as x equals c, where c is a constant. In other words, a vertical line only has one x value, one specific x value. All the y's can change, but the x's don't change. The slope of a vertical line is undefined. And the reason why the slope is undefined is because in the slope formula you have y2 minus 1 divided by x2 minus x1. Well, if the x's are always the same, x2 minus x1 for any x values is 0. And what can we not do in math?
Divide by 0.
We can't divide by 0. That's against the rules. So, no matter the x value, no matter the y value, the x value is c. On the other hand, the equation of a horizontal line is given as y equals c, where c is a constant. The slope of a horizontal line is 0. In this case, no matter the x value, the y value is c. Bless you. Who was that? You all right? That's not what I wanted. Okay. See just a few more people writing. What example number are we on? Are we on 8? Cool. You good, Katie? Why are you nodding so viciously? Did you think I didn't know what I was doing? We want to find the equation of the line passing through -5, 2 and 2, 2. Yeah, I laugh at that also.
Sounded kind of menacing.
Okay, how do we find the equation of this line?
We just take.
We need to find the slope. Tiffany says we need to find the slope. Let's find the slope. That's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Someone set it up for me. 2 minus 2 over 2 minus a -5. What's 2 minus 2? 0. And 2 minus a -5? 7. And 0 divided by 7 is 0. All day, every day. Undefined is when we divide by 0. So what is this? What kind of line is it? This is a horizontal line. If you get a slope that's equal to 0, it's a horizontal line, which is given as y equals some constant. Well, what is that constant? Why do you say 2D? You're right. You're right. I'm telling you, you're right. Tell me why. The y value is 2 in both cases. Look, when it's a horizontal line, look for your y value. Y equals 2 is the equation of this horizontal line. Now, if it had been a vertical line, you would have looked at the x value, and that would have been your equation, x equals whatever. Any questions about example 8? Because now we really are moving to my favorite part about this section. Okay. Parallel and perpendicular lines. So two lines are said to be parallel if their slopes are equal, so they have the same slopes, and their y-intercepts are different. So what does it take for two lines to be parallel? Same slope and different y-intercept. So if they have the same slope and a different y-intercept, they're perpendicular. If they have the same slope and the same y-intercept, they're not really different lines, they're the same. Two lines are said to be perpendicular and being perpendicular means that they intersect at a 90-degree angle. If the product of their slopes, m1 times m2, is equal to -1. In other words, their respective slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. And I'll give you a couple minutes to get that.
So their slopes multiplied by each other have to equal -1.
So in practice, what that really means, let's say I had a slope of 3/2. What would my second slope have to be? -2/3. Why is it -2/3, Tiffany? So you flip it and change the sign, right?
It's just the negative or change sign reciprocal.
Change sign, reciprocal means flip.
Yeah.
So, Brittany, are you good back there? Can you see it all right? Okay. So if my first slope is -7/5, bless you, what's my second slope? +5/7. This one's a little trickier. What if my first slope is 3?
-1/3.
Can't trick y'all for anything. -1/3. And that happens because 3 is equal to 3/1.
Is this the cube change book thing?
That is when we multiply, sorry, that's when we divide fractions. But yes, that is something we use. This is just flip and change the sign.
Change flip, no 12 seasons. Spices or whatever.
Okay, so now what we want to do in our next couple of examples is we want to write the equation of a line that's parallel or perpendicular to a given line. So what we'll do is we'll be given an equation, and we'll want to find the slope of that line. Typically, what form do we want to find the slope in? Y = mx + b, so slope-intercept. Now, the slope of the other line, if we know that it's parallel, then it will be the same slope, right?
Just with a different y-intercept.
With a different y-intercept. If it's Perpendicular, we'll flip it and change the sign. And then we'll use the point that we're given that's on that line. So we'll have a slope and a point. So what formula will we use? We'll use the point-slope formula, and then we can simplify that to be in slope-intercept form. Okay? Let's do example 9.
9.
What just happened?
Oh, that's a different one. That's German.
Example 9, we want to find the equation of the line, parallel to 5x equals 7 plus y, and passing through the point -1, -2. So the first thing we need to do is find what? The slope of our first line, the slope that we're given. So how do we do that?
We simplify the standard form into point slope form. Oh, wait, that's
We
not
need
the
to
form.
simplify
The equation.
this form that we're given, not that it has a specific form. We need to put that in slope-intercept form, okay? And the way we do that is to get y by itself, so we subtract 7 from both sides. And what do we get? Y equals 5x minus 7. So what is the slope of my first line?
5x.
Just 5. Okay, so what do we know about the second slope? What do we know about M2?
No?
Erica,
What?
I want you to read that. Read it. Read it out loud. Read it out loud. Read the question.
Find the equation of the line parallel to 5x equals 7 plus y.
Okay, parallel. What does it mean? Same slope. Okay, now that we've got that cleared up. So we need this point, -1, -2, and the slope equal to 5. So in our equation, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We need to plug in those values. So we get y minus what? A -2 is equal to 5 times x minus a -1.
Man, I was a dumb freshman. How did I not read this? This is easy.
I plead the fifth. So that's y plus 2, right, on the left-hand side? And that's equal to 5 times the quantity x plus 1. Now what do we do? Distribute, and we get 5 times x, which is 5x. And 5 times 1, plus 5. Thank you. And then to get it in slope-intercept form, what do we do? Subtract 2 from both sides. And what do we get? 5x plus 3. Okay, so going back to the definition of what it means to be a parallel line, we need to look at our original equation, which was 5x minus 7, y equals 5x minus 7, and y equals 5x plus 3. They need to have the same slope and different y-intercepts. Do they have that?
I think we've accomplished that.
We've reached our goal. Are there any questions as to how we found this? Questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, compliments?
Manipulate people like math.
I'm fishing for compliments. Anybody? Thanks, Akaja. I appreciate it.
Your
May
outfit,
may you not have another sneeze.
your outfit fits your drink. Your outfit and your drink kind of match up, so it looks cool, you know.
That's what you get.
You know, the Coke Zero.
All right. Last example of the day, guys. You've made it. Example 10. We want to find the equation.
Wait a minute. Wait a. That was 9, bro. Come on, man.
Hold up. Did we skip 7?
6, 7.
Find the equation
Oh wait, I'm fine.
of the line. Perpendicular to 5x equals 7 plus y and passing through -1, -2. You got a look on your face. What's it for?
Can't you not do it?
Huh?
Can't you not do it or something?
We just did something exactly like that, right? Didn't we just look at
Come on, man.
Didn't we just look at 5x equals 7 plus y in the last example?
Yeah.
And didn't we look at it going through -1, -2? Yeah. But now we're looking at perpendicular. Perpendicular. And the answer is, let's see if we can do it or not. So we know from our last example that in slope-intercept form, our given line is equal to 5x minus 7. Do we all agree with that?
Objection, no, plan.
Overruled. So our original slope of our first equation is 5. It's Christina, right? So Christina, what's our slope of our second line? The one we're looking for. Not -5. You remember you got to flip it. -1 over 5. Thank you. Okay, so we have our slope and we have our point. So let's plug in y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Help me out. Instead of y minus a -2, it's y plus 2, right? And our slope is -1/5. And instead of x minus a -1, it's x plus 1. Okay, can we simplify this?
So you fish around for the y-intercept.
So we distribute and we get -1/5 x plus, actually not plus, minus 1/5.
Can we go ahead and just multiply here if we do that too?
No, because we're putting it in slope-intercept. So we have y plus 2 equals -1/5 x minus 1/5. D, I wish we could do that. I wish we were putting it in standard form, then yes, you would be able to multiply. But because we're going for slope-intercept form, we need to subtract 2 from both sides.
Alright, so we got convert 2 to 10 over 5, right?
Yes, I was going to say that. -1/5 x minus 1/5, and that -2 can become -10 over 5. Do you agree with that?
Wait, how do we get there again?
How do we get to -10 over 5? Okay, so we need it to be in fifths, right? So 2 over 1 times 5 over 5. That's, sorry, it's -2 anyway. Right, yeah, -2. So -10 over 5.
In the calculator, -1 over 5 minus 2, it would give us that, or no?
It would give us -11 over 5, yeah. So, y equals -1/5 x Negative 1/5 minus 10/5 is negative 11/5. Let me move up a little. What? Who said what? What do we do with fractions? Being able to find a common denominator is still important. You still need to be able to deal with fractions. If you struggle with that, please let me know and we can work on it, particularly in the co-requisite time. If you did not sign in, be sure you sign in. That's the end of section 2.2/2.3 linear equations. We were able to finish it, thankfully. Good luck on your homework. Y'all have a great Tuesday, and I will see you tomorrow.
I was so not locked in.